Okay, yeah, it's
There.
recording now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, ready now?
Okay. So let me get this out of the way. Um, and you said you're looking forward to implementing a daily routine to help your growth.
Yeah. So
And then
it's
you go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So that's correct. So at the moment, sort of my process towards things is I go for a 30-minute walk in the morning. When I'm walking, I do a breathing in, breathe out exercise while I'm walking. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting down before I play now, I don't turn the computer on. I just sit there for 10 minutes, breathe in and out, and just sort of try and concentrate on that.
Yeah.
Then also when I'm at work, when I'm on my break, I do the
Right.
same thing. So I'm trying to
Right.
implement this breathing in and breathing out, like as I'm going through my day. Um,
Right. And just so Mark knows, Ben had told me those facts already. I kind of knew that,
yeah.
which is great. And I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about that. Um, so from the first call, you said you get up at 7, play poker from 9 to 11. Is that
Yeah.
still?
So
So I'm looking at this. Everything you just said to me, we're going to talk about the whole
yeah,
day
that's
here.
fine. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. So it's changed a little bit now. So my week at the weekends and Monday is when I play all my poker now because my schedule's changed. So I'm still playing about 15 hours of poker, but I'm just doing
Mm-hmm.
it within 3 days. And I am finding that more suitable because obviously as you're sitting playing longer sessions, you're becoming your A game lasts longer and you're improving as you go on. And
Yeah.
then it's sort of the other 4 days when I'm at work earlier, that's when I'm studying and concentrating on all the
So
other things.
okay. So how long have you been doing this routine with the walk in the morning with the mindfulness and the
So
10-minute?
that's been over the last 7 to 10 days. So I finished dailiness probably about 10 days ago and I've just started
Okay.
implementing
And have you noticed any changes?
it. I feel calmer. Generally, I feel calmer. And
Uh-huh.
obviously, I think you notice as well, sort of say when you're a little bit annoyed, it may not be a poker, it might be other things, you actually calm down a lot quicker. So I'm been going, let's just concentrate on this breathing. I'm
Right.
walking, I'm breathing, and I feel like I calm down a lot quicker.
Right.
I've not used it when I'm playing poker yet because
Yeah.
it's not come across situations where I feel like angry or upset or
Well, and
whatever.
that is one of the things. It's like people get into, meditation and they're like, "Oh, what if I turn into a zombie, emotional zombie?" It's like you would have to do this for 1,000 years.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, but it's incremental,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
all these, and if you do it every day like you're doing, you'll be able to sense it, and like there'll be milestones. So
yeah,
there'll be a certain situation that you don't find yourself in very often. Let's say you're going to catch a train and you just get there 1 minute late, a subway or whatever, right?
yeah,
And the last time you would have been like all frustrated, and this time you're frustrated but not as bad.
yeah, yeah.
And you'll notice that. Are you noticing that's what you're talking about, right? You're
Yeah, yeah.
noticing how
So that's
you
what
calm
I'm
down fast.
noticing. So yeah, I'm not sort of stewing on things as much, and it's just like actually, I've done this for
Right,
5 minutes, and I already feel like it's gone out gone out of my head already, kind of thing,
right.
and it's not
I mean,
bothering me.
especially doing it before the sessions like that is fantastic.
Yeah,
So what I'm getting at is now that you're actually doing enough of it, even in only 1 week, to feel the difference. Is that
yeah,
like incenting you to even to keep going? I mean,
yeah. And it is. It is. I want to keep going, but I also want to know, obviously, like just having a good structure. Is this a good place to
yeah.
start?
Well, we're
And
going to get to that. Okay, so
yeah,
here's the
yeah,
one essential thing you need,
yeah,
and I wouldn't say this except you already have shown great discipline to do all this.
yeah, yeah,
Is a morning sit.
yeah.
The morning sit, right?
And,
That that'll bring all this. You'll get even more benefit from all of this. And the fact that you've done this much means that you do have the ability to sit still.
yeah,
You've proven that,
yeah, yeah,
right? So that's why I wanted to talk about now, the moment from when you get up to when you first engage the world. What typically goes on there?
So just the whole process from like getting up. So what?
Yeah.
So I get up, I come downstairs, and I
What time typically?
so 7 to 10
Okay.
a.m. every day. come down,
Okay.
I basically go into the kitchen, I clean all the cats' things and get their breakfast and sort out the cats, and then you know do the cleaning that I need
Right.
to do, and then about probably 7:45, I sit down for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and that's
Oh,
just sitting there.
you are
That
doing a morning, huh?
so that's just me sitting down, like, well, while my wife's around me, as to having a chat,
Oh,
and
like having a
then
cop.
yeah, having a conversation
Oh, I
and
see.
everything.
Okay.
And then I go
Okay.
out for a walk for half an hour,
Right.
and then about 8:45, I like sit down in front of my computer for 10 minutes, but obviously with it not on, and do the breathing exercise. And then at 9 o'clock, I start playing poker.
Okay. So you have a lot of meditative solo time there between the walk, and then the sitting at the computer.
Yeah, yeah,
That's pretty good. Okay. And it comes fairly early in your day.
yeah. I find that's when I'm most sort of alert and more, yeah,
Right.
I'm ready to do this kind of thing.
Now, do you go for this walk? I mean, you're in England, right?
Yes,
Where?
yes, yes, Northampton,
So
England.
rain or shine, rain or hard,
Yeah, yeah,
rain
yeah.
or
Every
drizzle.
day, yeah, yeah.
What?
Every day I go out for a walk, and I've been doing it anyway. That's one of the things I've been always done
You just
over.
bundle up. So
You
what's the
know,
coldest it gets there? Like 35, or do you get real freezing? I mean, where
no,
are
we
you?
don't get freezing. We get cold and wet, but not freezing,
Right,
freezing.
right.
So, and
You
it's
don't get
only
ice.
no, 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 no. That's probably like a couple of days a year where it's like really icy and
Right.
frosty. But
So
otherwise,
so it is physically possible to walk every day,
yeah, it
basically.
is. Yes, yes.
Now, is that your intention to go every single day?
Yeah, yeah, and like I say, that's something I've been doing anyway in terms of
Oh,
um, the last few years, where I go out
oh,
every day for a walk, and
wow.
and
Okay.
it's something I plan to continue because I feel good about getting outside and just
Yeah.
getting the
Well,
fresh
for what
air.
it's worth, what happened with me was I started going for a daily walk in 2001 when I quit smoking cigarettes. But it wasn't 2 years later that I started meditating. But because I had already established that dailiness of the walk, that's why I
Yeah,
was able. Is
yeah,
that kind of what's happened with you?
yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, so like I say,
Yeah.
I've already had it down. I'm just trying to fit like the meditation in, like
Right.
whilst I'm walking and whilst into my schedule as
Yeah.
I've got
Okay.
it, because I've got quite a good routine and I'm a routine person. So once I'm in the routine, it's fine.
Right.
And that's what I want,
Yeah.
the
This
daily
and
routine.
and also you're able to tweak it. You're willing to tweak it. That's the thing. You keep tweaking all this stuff. It just
Yeah,
keeps getting sharper all the time. So tell me when you do sit down for your 10 minutes before you play,
yeah.
what are you actually doing with your mind
Well, I'm
during?
just trying not to. All I'm trying to think about is like, you know, breathing in and breathing out,
Now, are you
breathing in.
narrating? There's
Yeah,
multiple
I'm
ways to do
narrating. So
that.
yeah, I'm saying that in my head. So like as I breathe in, I'm like breathe in. As I breathe out, breathe out. And that's what
Right.
I'm trying to concentrate on. Nothing else. Just saying those words as I do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And obviously, you don't necessarily do it for the whole 10 minutes because obviously that's a lot to. But I'm like, then I'm focusing on like, actually, I've stopped saying it. I need to say it again. And
Right.
I'm finding sort of the alertness in. I've stopped saying it. I'll start saying it again and getting
Right.
focused, that kind
Back
of
and
thing.
forth. So
Yeah.
do you ever lose focus for say like minutes at a time? Which is
Um,
fine if you do. Where you're just like totally gone, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, breathe in, breathe out.
Probably not. I find not when I'm sitting doing that. I don't really lose focus at times. But say if I'm walking and I'm like
Okay.
breathing in and breathing out
Yeah,
and
yeah.
concentrate, then I lose focus because I just get like, because you're
Okay.
outside, you got the fresh
So
air.
I'm going to give you some specific things to do. So, you want to think of this as like you're learning a musical instrument, right? There's multiple notes, there's multiple chords, and you keep expanding your repertoire,
Yeah,
but you also keep playing the songs that you're really good at and
yeah, yeah.
you don't just like replace them. You just keep
Okay,
adding on. And then on any given day, in any given situation, you have all this material to pick from.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So there's a difference. So what I want to talk about now is concentration exercises, because this
Okay,
is how you build up the muscle that then allows you to be calm.
hmm.
in, and have control over yourself. Okay. So, and I know you read about this in dailiness, but now it'll be more practical.
Okay.
So counting breaths,
Okay.
right? You've probably read about this in my stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you done it much?
I've not counted. So, like I say, I'm trying to sort of walk before I run. So I'm trying to build it up.
Okay. So this is the walking. You started
Yes.
out with the running. No, seriously.
Oh,
You,
okay.
you've been running by going in, out.
Okay.
This is the walking.
Okay.
Seriously.
I've done it in
Okay.
reverse.
And you use this, I still do when I'm really distracted, is I use this as an entry ramp
Okay.
toward the next level of stability, which is just being able to narrate the in and out.
Mm.
And then maybe get to a stiller place where I'm kind of aware of every in and out and aware of everything going on without having to narrate it at all.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what I mean by like the ramps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So counting, and this is the go-to one that even the Buddhist monks teach because it's so accessible. And the
Mm.
beautiful thing is when you lose count, you know you've lost count. But the rules are very simple. It sounds like why is it that way? But this is how you do it. You intend to count to 10 breaths,
Okay.
okay? And if you get to 10, you start over at 1. And if you don't get to 10, you start over at 1.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you notice you lost track, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the typical way to do it, now there's varieties, is you do the count on the exhale. That's the easiest way.
Okay.
So you're sitting there and you go 1, 2, and try to count your breaths. Now,
Okay.
if you intentionally slow down your breaths, which will definitely make you calmer, it's a lot harder to hold the count because there's way more space in there for the
Yes.
mind to come in.
Okay.
Now, so this is another one of the control things. It's like, do you alter the pace of your breaths or not? Well, the answer is both. Okay. If you intentionally breathe slower, that's great. But another way to do it, this applies to all meditation, is to just let the breaths go at their normal pace of like 15 and 18 a minute, right? So the slowest pace of walking is to breathe at your normal pace, which is fast,
Okay.
and count and do the counting,
Okay.
right? The next level of difficulty would be to slow down the breaths and do the counting. Okay.
Okay.
The very easiest level of difficulty, and this is a lot of people have to do it like this because they have no chance of getting to 10, is to only go to 3 or 5
Yeah.
and get
Okay.
the satisfaction of finishing the count,
Yeah.
right? Instead of losing track every time.
Yeah. Okay. That makes
Okay.
sense. So I suppose if you're doing that and it's like you can't get to 10 when you start at 5, you're not feeling defeated. It's that whole thing.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
feel like you're winning and you're like, actually, it makes you want to do it more because you've got that process.
Yeah, exactly. So work this in. Don't necessarily do this for the whole 10 minutes, but just
Okay.
work this
Work it
in
in.
your
Okay.
mix. Okay. And it's a go-to for life,
Okay.
counting.
Yeah, that's good.
I
I like
still
that.
use count. I use counting to 3 breaths a lot, just in the course of my normal day, like waiting at a stoplight or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And that's some of the stuff that I found is like you said, you're waiting at traffic lights or you're waiting at a pedestrian crossing, and I've got 30 seconds I can breathe, and
Right.
so you're not like annoyed that you're just waiting there. You're actually doing something productive with your time.
Exactly. Very productive. And so as you round out your options, another thing that you'll be adding is standing meditation, just the act of standing. So it's like you've got a moment to kill. You're at a stoplight or whatever. You need to intentionally concentrate on something. Okay. The go-to thing is the breathing in any which way, counting, following the breaths in and out. You can also notice whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth on purpose.
Okay.
These are all breathing mindfulness techniques. Okay. Another thing you can do is focus on your body in some way. Many options there.
Yeah.
But the best one, if you happen to be standing, is to focus on the act of standing. What that means is you consciously stand up straight and exhale. That's it. Just like you do at the poker table,
Yeah.
right?
Do it.
If you are doing that,
Yeah.
but it's just like it's kind of like duh. It's like, why didn't anybody tell us this, a
Yeah.
long time ago? Because it's like it really is a wonderful way to spend the time because you're
Yeah.
always, it's training for more mindfulness. It gives you immediate relief from whatever sort of noise is clacking around in your head.
Yeah.
And even if the whatever you're thinking about isn't problematic, by moving away from it and coming back to it, it gives you new clarity. This is why meditation does wonders for the creative mind, because what happens is you keep wiping the slate clean and allowing other connections to happen that wouldn't have happened because there's the ruts,
Yeah.
right? And so you fill in the ruts and create a clean space. And so it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO of a company or you're trying to devise better poker strategies or a chess player. Anytime you can sort of whitewash your mind briefly and then let the connections rehappen, you're more likely to get random new connections. And that's where new ideas come from.
Yeah.
This is all, you know what I'm talking, this is
Yeah. Yeah.
familiar territory
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
right?
I get what you mean.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So now, when you said you wanted to work like on your routine,
Well,
um,
yeah, I want to work on. I want to make sure that what I'm doing at the moment is right, and that I can progress it. And
yeah,
it's something that I've got for life, as opposed to just it stagnates and stuff like that. So
right. No, yeah, no, I mean, even saying that is really good that you're worried about that.
yeah,
I think that if you were to get up like 15 minutes earlier
yeah,
and do, if you like, you're doing a good amount of mindfulness stuff early in your day, which is
yeah,
good, but there's nothing like that very
yeah,
first in the morning thing. Have you already thought
yeah,
about doing this?
yeah. I have, and I think I could probably at the moment sort of do it. So like I could get up 10 minutes earlier and do that 10 minute.
Yeah. Just a
Instead
little
of 10.
something
Yeah,
there, and then
yeah,
that
yeah,
might expand. Allow for it to even become bigger
yeah, yeah,
later.
yeah,
See,
yeah.
here's the thing. Let's say the circumstances of your life change to where you aren't playing poker early in the day,
Mm,
or whatever. Or you just decide to do your walk later in the day. You might decide to do the morning sit and yoga and do your walk at noon.
mm,
This stuff is always going to change.
yeah.
That's why if you work now on getting some sort of practice going right when you get up,
It will
that
always
becomes
be
the
there.
thing that doesn't change.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Other
that
things can
yeah,
change, right?
that does make sense. That like it's the first thing you do, and you know,
Right. You get tuned up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what was like put is like oh, it wasn't put me off it, but like I was like, can I do it for 10 minutes, or does it have to be 30 minutes? And I'm like, it was kind of like yeah, if you I suppose if you can just fit 10 minutes in for an hour or
Yeah,
15, you can
absolutely.
work it up to where you're
Right.
doing more. You don't have to feel like you have to do 30 minutes right away. It's just
Right.
goes. But
Exactly.
yeah,
And what happens a lot of people is it just grows bigger naturally.
mm,
Doesn't even take some great discipline because you
yeah,
learn new songs, right?
yeah,
And then you're like, oh, I want to do this meditation and I want to do that meditation. If I do each of these for 4 minutes each, I'm up to 12 minutes.
mm,
It'll just naturally expand as
yeah, yeah.
you get better at it,
Oh, yeah,
basically.
that's cool.
Now, let's talk about your walk, what we can tune up there. So what sort of mindfulness are you doing on your walk? You said breathe in and breathe out.
So yeah,
Okay,
it's just a basic, concentrating as I'm walking in a straight line, and I know there's
right.
nothing down. I can like concentrate on just breathing in and breathing out, and then obviously when I have to cross road or something, you sort of step back to like what you're meant to be thinking about. So
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
trying to do this bit where I know it's safe to do so, where I've got to not concentrate on crossing the road and things like that.
Well, so here's the thing. This is really a great way to get double duty out of your walks is like you said, you're doing it for 5 minutes or whatever. I'm going to tell you two concentration exercises you can do on your walk.
Okay.
They're just fabulous. And you might have read about them somewhere, which is one is any combination of counting steps with breaths.
Okay.
Okay. So the natural thing to do is go inhale for 4 steps, exhale for 4 steps, or some even
Yeah.
number. That's how music started,
Yeah.
according to
Okay.
some. The one I like to do, and we do naturally exhale for slightly longer than we inhale. That's just physics, okay,
Yeah.
or physiology, is inhale for 4 steps, exhale for 5 steps.
Okay.
And then every other round, your lefts and rights are different. So it takes a little bit of concentration. It's a little
Yeah.
harder to do that
Okay.
mindlessly,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So you're walking along, in, out, 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 out,
Okay.
walking,
Yeah.
right? And so just do that as much as you can think about it.
Yeah.
You'll forget. It's such a wonderful exercise to do while you're walking, and then you can make up your own combinations of breaths and steps or whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to change it one day, you can just change it.
Or while you're walking, like
Yeah.
let's say
Yeah.
you're going up a steep hill and you need to breathe more often than that or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The whole idea is you make it up. I made up somewhere I'll go in for 3, out for 3, in for 4, out for 3, in for 5, out for 3, in for 6, out for 3, or whatever. Just make up some weird little pattern in the moment to concentrate on. Okay, it's kind of like the, rubbing your belly and patting your head thing, but this is really good stuff.
Okay.
And then the other concentration exercise you can do while you're walking is find an object up ahead. It could be, 50 feet or 100 yards,
Yeah.
and try to hold your gaze on it until you get there,
Okay.
like a sign on a pole or
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
And it's tough and kind of fun
Yeah.
because the beautiful thing about these is like, you're throwing targets at it. You're throwing at a target. Doesn't matter if you miss on any
Yeah.
given throw.
Mm.
You just
I,
throw again,
yeah.
right? So it's like totally painless, totally guiltless. There's no pass or fail because you're making it up at every second.
Okay. No, that's good. I like that as well. And like I say, you're making use of your time, aren't you, while you're walking
Yeah,
as well?
yeah,
So
you really are. You're getting the exercise whether you're thinking about it or
yeah.
not,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's great. So these are wonderful habits you have already established. You're going to make, pretty big progress. Now, this segues nicely into you wanted to talk about the moment. Did you read the thing I sent you?
I did. Yeah, I read it, and it made perfect sense.
Did you read that, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't see it.
Okay. Maybe we'll catch up later. Okay. Go ahead, Ben.
So yeah, no, it made perfect sense. Obviously, when it's written down, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I like,
Well, let's get Mark. The topic here is what I call the fog, which is, here's what Ben wrote. When you get raised or you face an uncomfortable large riverbed, when your mind goes blank, you can't think through the spot logically. You review it later, and what should have been obvious isn't. And are there any practical tips? So when we're done, send that passage to Mark.
Yeah,
Ben.
I've sent it to Mark already.
Because I wrote a little bit about this in Painless Poker, and this is a huge, huge topic. And I call it the fog. And, it comes up all the time. Now, there's basically 2 ways to address the fog, in my opinion. One is using Band-Aids and just trying to beat it down with willpower and discipline and brute force, sort of like how somebody might try to quit, going on a diet or quit drugs or whatever. And anytime there's that much resistance and that much difficulty, it's unsustainable. Okay. You happen to be on what I believe is the only path to actually undo this fog, which is the meditative path.
Yeah.
Which gives you mental superpowers, basically, compared to what you have now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it takes kind of a superpower to get through the fog. This is like a huge problem for everybody.
Yeah.
But
I suppose whether you're amateur or professional, you have this problem, don't you?
yeah, well, the difference between the professional is they've played more hours.
Yeah.
And at some point, they've had to deal with this directly and worked on it in some sort of way, right? But the way you can work on it is by first having the information that, we don't go into the fog all the time. Sometimes we are faced with big bets and we analyze it and play it fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the difference? Well, one of the differences is how well are we rested? How's our diet? How's our exercise? What's our mental state? That's all the shit we can control to some degree, right? So to whatever degree you keep making yourself stronger mentally and more consistent, there in terms of refocusing, not getting into the doldrums or despondency and all that. On a percentage basis, you're making it less likely that you'll even enter the fog,
Okay. So
right?
it's all the work you're doing beforehand that will help.
Yeah. So this
Okay.
is the long range fix,
Yeah.
is to root out, get rid of the cause, the root causes. Some of the causes are fatigue and not mental preparation. Other causes could have to do with actual psychological issues and details of your life and your mind and what sets you off.
Okay.
Fears, fight and flight, all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the academic approach to working on the fog. It's through that. So,
Okay.
you know, this is sort of like a very general picture of how to
Yeah.
undo the fog,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to come at it every possible way, because there's no explaining it. It's like all of a sudden we're playing poker and we get faced with this big decision, and it's like we're incapable of even being our normal selves.
Yeah. Yeah.
For that split
Yeah.
second, we look back and it's like, what? What
And
was
I was
that?
like, yeah, because I've had that a couple of times in the last several weeks where I've like, I can't legitimately any logic that I try and throw at, I just can't. It's like logic has gone out the window, and suddenly I'm just like, you know, it's a feeling as like, I've just got to fold,
Right.
I've just got to call because, and I can't base it on logic. And obviously, you want to do that, and you want to be
But
able to
at
get that.
that moment, did you realize you were
I
acting?
knew. So yeah, I knew I was doing. So it's like I'd say to myself, I'm just folding because it's an emotional fold. I've got this. This is just my
Oh,
emotions making me
I
fold.
see. Okay.
And but I couldn't refocus it onto using
Right.
the logic and get
So
back
what were
into.
the emotions? Fear,
I,
anger?
no, I suppose it was like fear. So like for example, someone over bets a pot on the river, and I'm like, okay, well, suddenly I'm like, it's a big bet. I should just fold. I should just fold. It's a big bet, and that was the emotions, and it was
And
nothing.
then after the fact, you realize this guy bluffs a lot, and you should have just called every time.
Yeah, yeah, and it was kind of like say like that afterwards. It was like discussing it with like Mark actually, and I was like, yeah, you should never fold here. There were so
Yeah.
many hands that you're beating and all this stuff.
So
But
this is another really important way to go at the fog, which is
yeah,
actually from a poker analytical standpoint, what are the actual situations that trigger it? If you
yeah,
can isolate that.
okay. So is it?
I mean, it might be some people go into a fog when they're going along with pocket jacks and overpair, and they're playing cautiously because the other guy's aggressive.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there's two fives on the board,
yeah,
right? And all of a sudden they spike a jack on the river. They've got the total nuts. So it isn't always about losing or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's
No,
another thing you can do is like try to isolate what are the patterns that set it off within the poker itself.
okay, yeah, I like that. So it's like when you do feel like that, write down the specific hand, write down what was going on,
Yeah.
previously and
Start it as a
after.
project, like
Okay, no, I like that
the
idea.
fog,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
how
yeah.
you would analyze anything else.
Okay, and then obviously, I suppose as you get more data, you
Right.
can.
Get more data.
Okay, no, that's
That'll
cool.
help. Even just having it in the front of your consciousness will help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like all this stuff, it really will.
Okay, that's cool. Have you got anything to add to that, Mark? That question?
No, I don't think so. It's I guess the only other type of situation is where it's not a fear, let's say it's a desire to see what he has more than a fear.
Yeah.
And that's a specific thing that I get where I know I'm calling too much. It's typically river bets, and I think a lot about it over the last number of months, and I've got to the point where I realize I've sort of pinpointed what I've been thinking, and it's I really want to know what he has because I want to know, is he fucking
Good.
bluffing me? That's ultimately
Right.
what I want to know.
Right. So that's good. That's actually just what I was talking about. You've analyzed, you
Yeah.
trying to figure out what it is. Okay, so that's great. The next question is, what do you do about it? That's a lot
Exactly.
harder. That's a bit tricky. Letting go. We've heard that phrase a lot, but it really is. You have to let go of even your own curiosity. about what they had, which is really harder if you happen to hate the guy or whatever. It's like, or something, it's tricky. This is really one of the biggest problems. I mean, there's no easy out on this for sure.
But I suppose it's like you said, it's just recognizing it. So if you recognize it, you can actually battle it. Whereas if you're not recognizing it, it will just stay with you forever.
Yeah, then you're just lost. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's cool.
I'm just trying to think of there's any about what Mark was saying, there's a very specific one, just wanting to see what he had. It's tough.
Yeah.
Just trying to think. I mean, I'm trying to think how I got where I am now. But man, I had one. I've told this story a couple of times. One time I was playing against a guy, and I got my hat down, and he bluffed. He bet the river, and I folded, and he showed his hand, and I could tell he was showing a bluff over there, but to him it looked like I hadn't even seen it. Right? He wanted me to see the bluff. And then he reached way over and shoved his cards right under my eyes, like under my hat, because it was pissing him off that I wouldn't even look at him showing me the bluff, right? Anyway, I have gotten to a point, I'm just saying it is possible to get to the point where you just don't, it's kind of like the same sense of closure. Like, let's say that you shove on the river, okay? At that moment, you have no more decisions to make. So in theory, it should be possible to let go of the hand right there. And at that point, it's up to the fate of whatever. Let's say you shove on the turn. So the guy might call, you might get sucked out on, whatever, but you have no more decisions to make. I think that's where I'm at when it comes to the curiosity thing. It's like the hand's over. I'm not the hand's over. The other guy shoves. And if I decide the correct play is to fold, then the fold completes the hand. There's just no after story to it. I'm never going to see that hand. I don't need to see that hand. There's been a million hands I haven't seen. Have you played a lot of poker?
I played for a year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, that was a good question on my part. Yeah. That's what you need is more years. It will. That particular glitch will gradually fall away over time. Maybe a lot of time, but it will.
Yeah.
But it'll fall away faster now that you've got it dialed in too. So
I hope so.
And I think this is one of the things also we talk about quite a lot when we're as a group, or just me and Mark. These decisions we make on the river and stuff. So we do a lot of analysing of our hands and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think because we're all quite similar in terms of we want to help each other grow. I think that's why it's really helpful.
It is. You guys are great for each other. That's really good.
Okay.
Any closing comments or questions?
I suppose my last question is obviously just sort of following this routine with meditation, it will just sort of build up and take any next logical steps itself. So if you add 2 minutes on the day, it will just naturally happen, and you don't have to naturally force anything. You just
okay. So it will naturally happen, but you got to keep adding fuel.
Yeah.
A lot of fuel to the fire all the time, right? And so, I think it's better to take the approach to intentionally keep stretching it.
Okay.
And don't just wait on it. Okay. Like right now, if you go for your walk and you do these concentration exercises, that takes some gumption, right? That's the energy. They call it. There's a word for it in the Eightfold Path. Not intention. Well, anyway, yeah, it will build and grow, but because you're building and growing it, you got to keep adding.
You got to keep adding minutes and adding things into it and keep.
Right.
Okay, no, that's fine.
And for right now, if you do all these concentration things we talked about, and you add that, and you add a 10-minute sit in the morning, and let that coast for a little while, you'll be fine.
I know, that's cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
like I think for me that was the main thing, just making sure I was doing it in the right approach and it was logical what I was doing, and obviously how it goes forward is logical.
Yeah.
This all makes perfect sense that you've got extra things you can add on to it. So no, that's fantastic.
Hold on, I got to look something up here real quick. Right effort. That's what they call it. So effort is, consistent effort is
Okay.
diligence. That's the other word they use.
Okay.
Diligence.
Yeah.
I like that word better. Yeah. So yeah, there's no, you need to be diligent. That's
Okay.
the perfect word.
Okay.
Right?
And that's on
Okay.
all the things that we've discussed tonight. Obviously, with meditation and the like overcalling and being, fearful of folding and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's all about diligence and
Right.
effort.
And you are diligent.
Yeah.
You've proven that. So just keep doing it.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay. Nice meeting you, Mark.
Cool. Nice to meet you,
Yes.
Tommy. That's great.
Okay.
Thanks,
Well,
Ben.
have a good day. Thank you. Is it just
Okay.
saying just stop recording and it will
Oh yeah, you'll get a little thing that says the movie is rendering.
okay.
Leave your computer open until that, and then it will automatically be put in a folder called Zoom.
Excellent. Would you like me to send you the notes again when I've
Oh sure, yeah.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I fully appreciate that. Have a good day.
Okay.
Thanks, Tommy.
Bye.
Thanks, Ben.
Cheers.